Protesters at the Dakota Access Pipeline continue to be met with insane violence, and our very own Jordan Cheriton reports and shows us exactly what they're dealing with. Take a look.
So where you're seeing the police, whether it's state police, TAPL security, they're on top of a giant mountain that is where their ancestors are buried, the Native Americans.
The natives want to go and hold a peaceful prayer circle on the other bank. This is land that is theirs per the Laramie Treaty of 1851. This is a sacred burial site. But also, they're saying it's Army Corps of Engineer lands, which means on multiple levels what's happening here is illegal. This is a militarized police force up against an unarmed, peaceful prayer for people.
So I was out there, one of the first ones in the water. Maced us, it hurts, it hurts.
I feel like I'm watching the salt mine protest with Gandhi. I mean, these people are in the water, they're freezing to death. This water is not warm.
I couldn't feel my legs. I had to get out or I was about to pass out.
Save our water!
They're trying to disperse women and children because there's a fear that the cops that are coming in on those boats over there have actual bullets.
The police are committing genocide!
I see a sniper laying right there on the ridge. You can see his rifle sticking over the edge of the ridge right there. The sniper is not holding rubber bullets, I guarantee you.
These people from the North Dakota Police Force and the United States government has lost legitimacy in every respect today.
President Obama needs to step in and intervene before we have loss of life on either side.
You guys ever see anything like this?
This is absolutely insane, man. These people are just trying to protect their families, protect their water.
It's like a row of dominoes. You got one maced over here, one maced over here, one maced over here. Whoa. Did they give you warning that they were going to mace you?
Oh, not at all. Sitting there with my hands up, and I told him I love you, and the guy came and sprayed us. They sprayed me in the face for probably 6-7 seconds, and I just stood there until they were done.
Once you feel the power of these people, I mean, it brings tears to your eyes. People, they're fighting for a human right.
So a video like that is obviously incredibly important because it shows you exactly what's happening. They're in the water. They pose no threat at all whatsoever. They're practicing their constitutional rights in protesting, and they're met with that type of violence, with pepper spray, rubber bullets.
So almost every article I've seen in the mainstream media about these protests, what little articles there have been, start with the idea that there might have been violence from the protesters and hence the cops had to react. But when there's violence from the cops, there's never an article about it. So, and the articles never start with the cops came in heavily militarized and started firing before anything else happened. And we got it on tape right there. There's no threat from the protesters at all. I mean, what possible harm is there of them being in the water? Number one, the cops are not they're not trying to remove them from the water, and they don't have to.
Right.
They're not going on the land, so why do you have to fire mace at them?
Because they're an inconvenience.
No, you know why? Because they want to.
Yeah.
They want to. They're like, ooh, I got dressed up. I got all dressed up today as a stormtrooper. Oh, it'll be such a buzzkill if I don't get the stormtroop. So, and all of this, if they were protecting something important that was central to all Americans, and hey, hey guys, what are you doing, man? You're going to go take over federal land that isn't yours. Oh, right, that's the Bundy militia. Okay, then you say, well, what are they going to do? No, this is all in service for private profits of a private corporation. A corporation that right now is a half a mile from the river that the government has told them they are not allowed to drill in yet. So, but the police aren't facing towards the corporation going, hey, wait a minute, we've got to make sure that you're not in violation of a government order here. They face the citizens and fire first.
What's also really interesting is how power can completely skew your mind in terms of what you should and shouldn't fight for, right? So those cops that are firing at these protesters, that are fighting back against these protesters in such a vicious way, are not part of the corporation. They're part of the same socioeconomic group that's being screwed over by the same system, right?
Yeah, when do we get the profits? Hey, when you build the Dakota Access Pipeline, if you build it, are you going to share all the profits with the cops? Let alone us, the citizens. No, you're not going to share it with the citizens, even though you did eminent domain to get some of that land, even though you're going to drill under our river. You're not going to share the profits with us. Are you even going to share it with the cops that you're now having act as stormtroopers for your private corporation?
No,
you're not going to share it with them.
It goes further than that, Cenk. Are you even going to pay your fair share of taxes from the profits you make from that pipeline? Of course not. So look, this is a perfect example of a system that doesn't work for us, a system that works for these corporations. You see something like that where you have actual property owners having their property messed with regardless of whether or not they own it. I mean, that's the crazy part, right? We talk about the militiamen and how they're protesting the use of federal land that belongs to everyone, right? They're not met with violence. They're actually armed and they're not met with violence. These individuals are not armed. They're peaceful. And some of these individuals actually own the land. They have their relatives buried in this land. So I would argue that they have a better case than the militiamen. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they have a better case. Once a corporation gets involved, they will have their way, and that's it.
The militiamen had weapons, and on video were saying, we'll kill any government official that comes here. Could you imagine if the water protectors said that? Could you imagine if that heavily militarized police had a Native American on tape saying, we'll kill the cops if they come to our side of the water? Send in the bulldozers, the Humvees, they'd roll over them, right? In Oregon, when the Bundy guys took over the federal property, 41 days until the cops did something. 41 days. These guys are trying to protect water for all of us. Roll them over. Where's the mace? Where's the rubber bullets? Let's start firing. Hey, the corporation's got to get paid. Remember, privatize the gains, socialize the losses. So if that pipeline leaks and it gets into all the waters, that's your loss. That's our loss. That's all the citizens' loss. I just socialized all my losses. But I privatize the gains. I keep all those. You don't get any of that.
I feel like 2016 made it crystal clear that the government doesn't really care too much about our drinking water.
Indeed.
By the way, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, any of them. The next time you get the next interview with Obama, and I hate to keep coming back to this, when he says it'll be peaceful as long as the water protectors don't get violent and as long as the authorities don't overstep their bounds. As soon as he says it, go, well, let me show you this video that TYT Politics had. Show 3 or 4 or 5 of them and say, what do you think is going on? Do you think this is a problem? Where do you see the violence, President Obama? Where do you see it? When you see it, let me know and point it out to me. And then tell me if you see one side that's overstepping their line and one that's sitting there saying, I love you, before sprayed in the face for 6 to 7 seconds.
So that goes to the most important point. For all the people who are in power, state violence never counts. When the state says, I'm going to steamroll you, I'm going to arrest you, I'm going to mace you, I'm going to fire upon you, doesn't count. That's not violence. If you say, hey, don't do that, hey, don't get violent now. Wait, you had a prayer stick, don't get violent now. You had a protest sign up, don't get violent now. And if all that doesn't work, as we saw yesterday, there's a guy with a bandana who worked for the Dakota Access Pipeline, the corporation involved here, with a rifle. And he went inside with the protesters. Looks like an instigator looking to say, hey, there's violence coming over here from the side of the protesters. They caught the guy. He had an ID. Go back and watch my coverage from yesterday. We have it on video. He has ID from the Dakota Access Pipeline. His car is registered to the Dakota Access Pipeline, the insurance, right? So, and so when they do the violence, doesn't count. When the state does the violence, doesn't count. But if you protest, good enough, that looks like violence to me, you're violent, because it is violence to their bottom line. Hey, you might have delayed the pipeline for a couple of days, and our interest costs are running. So you've cost us a couple of dollars. We've got to call you violent. So you want to talk about violence. Let's talk about all the violence, including the ones that the government in this case is starting. What happened to Don't Tread on Me? The Young Turks isn't just us. It's also you guys. You make this show possible, and we want to thank you for it, and we want to grow together. We want to be too strong. TYTnetwork.com/join. Let's do it.